Hello everyone, welcome back to Department of Chemistry, KTHM College, Nasik 2. In the lecture CHA 391, Section 1, Chapter Specific Methods and Application such as Dissolution Studies. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about sampling and analytical instrumentation, single point test versus dissolution profile, and also calibration. This is second lecture of chapter 4. So let us start sampling and analytical instrumentation. As a single dissolution test generally requires the sampling and analysis of several samples, usually 6 per sampling interval, it is necessary to have efficient sampling systems and rapid analytical systems in place. Sampling can be performed manually or by using automated sampling systems. Manual sampling can be quite labor intensive and tedious. The manual sampling from 6 vessels for a single time point in a dissolution test can take several minutes, making the establishment of dissolution profiles for rapidly dissolving dosage forms quite difficult at early time points. Several automated sampling systems are commercially available in today's market. The automated sampling systems are typically microprocessor or computer control, allowing for precisely timed sampling at frequent interval if necessary. Some automated sampling systems transfer the sample to collection tubes for manual transfer to the analytical instrument, while other sampling systems transfer the sample directly into the analytical instrument for analysis. It is important to note that all sampling systems should be evaluated for absorption to tubing or filters. Carryover between samples should also be determined, especially when common sampling pathways are used. Errors associated with automated sampling systems are usually related to partial or complete blockage of the sampling lines. Therefore, it is recommended that the appropriate flow rate be determined and used prior to each use of an automated sampling system. Because of the large number of samples normally generated in a dissolution test, the analytical system should be relatively rapid, allowing for a high throughput of samples. The most common analytical instrument used for dissolution testing are UV visible spectroscopy and liquid chromatography with UV detection, LC-UV. UV visible spectroscopy allows for rapid analysis of samples. Diode array based instrument with sophisticated computer generated data analysis have improved the quality and speed of single component as well as multi-component analysis by UV visible spectroscopy. When this mode of analysis is used, the accuracy should be confirmed by a selective mode of analysis such as liquid chromatography. Liquid chromatography analysis is more discriminating and selective means of analysis. When liquid chromatography analysis is required, a rapid chromatographic method is desirable for the assay. It is important to note that the analytical instrumentation should be checked for wavelength accuracy and repeatability as well as photometric accuracy and repeatability. This is all about sampling and analytical instrumentation. Next important point, single point test versus dissolution profile. Here by mistake this is spelling mistake, test here TEST, but by my mistake here TEAT, TEAT, not TEAT here, test, single point test versus dissolution profile. The sampling and analysis procedures used for a dissolution test may be to a large degree depend upon the type of dosage forms and purpose of the test. Ideally, the in vitro dissolution rate for a given formulation and dosage forms will be reflective in some way of in vivo availability of the drug, thus allowing for establishment of a correlation between the in vitro dissolution behavior and one or more pharmacokinetic parameters. Cmax, Tmax, AUC, etc. These are the pharmacokinetics parameters. A well-established correlation will allow for a reasonable prediction of the in vivo behavior of formulation without performing a bioavailability study. Finding the appropriate correlation, if one exists, has been the focus of numerous studies. For many products, good correlation have been obtained, but several other products exist for which not suitable correlations have been found. The establishment of in vitro in vivo correlations has been the subject of much discussion in recent years. The USP, United States Pharmacopoeia, has defined three levels of correlation approaches with varying degree of usefulness. It is generally more difficult to generate useful or predictive correlations between measured in vitro dissolution rate and bioavailability for immediate release dosage forms. Since dissolution rates for such products are by design relatively rapid, it is often found that dissolution of the drug may not be the rate limiting factor for in vivo activity. For immediate release dosage forms, only single point dissolution information is usually generated. Investigations have generally found that for such dosage forms, a minimum dissolution rate single point could be found beyond which all products would show equivalent in vivo behavior. In contrast to immediate release formulations, extended or controlled release formulations are designed to release drugs from the product matrix over an extended period of time, generally 12 to 24 hours or longer. This implies that the rate at which a drug dissolves from the formulation matrix is a controlling factor in the bioavailability of the drug. For such products, it is critical to establish a correlation at multiple time points in order to ensure batch-to-batch product consistency over the entire time course of the product. Thus, it is obvious that single-point dissolution tests are not adequate for product control and dissolution profiles are necessary. The most useful approaches to in vitro in vivo correlations for extended release products are to use either statistical moment analysis to obtain and compare in vitro and in vivo mean residence times or mathematical deconvolution techniques to generate and compare in vitro and in vivo dissolution profiles. The latter of these is preferred in most situations as it represents a point-to-point correlation. Correlation established with these techniques should result in the in vitro data being highly predictive of in vivo performance. These all are the single point test versus dissolution profile. Already these notes are available in Google Classroom. You read it. Next point, important point is calibration. In order for dissolution methods to be considered valid, the dissolution apparatus must be set up, calibrated, and operated in compliance with the appropriate compendia, if applicable. USP 23 National Formulary 18 General Chapters on Dissolution 711 and Drug Release 724 list the apparatus specification, the apparatus suitability test, calibration, that is calibration requirement, the dissolution medium requirement, as well as specific procedure requirement for USP apparatus types 1 to 7. The system suitability of apparatus 1, 2 and 4 are described in USP 23. National Formulary 18 requires the testing of two types of USP calibrator tablets, non-disintegrating salicylic acid tablets and disintegrating prednisone tablets. The system suitability of USP apparatus 3, the reciprocating cylinder, requires the testing of chlorpheniramine, maleate extended release tablets, and theophylline extended release beds. The calibrator tablet are supplied with a certificate of acceptable range established for the specific lot of calibrated tablet. The appropriate USP reference standard should be used when testing the calibrator tablets. Calibration should be conducted at a regular interval, usually every 6 months, or when the apparatus is moved or maintenance modifications are performed. For apparatus 1 and 2, the acceptance ranges for the calibrated tablets are given at both 50 and 100 RPM. Some dissolution tests require modification in the setup of the apparatus 1 and 2, such as a 2-liter vessels or rotation speeds other 50 or 100 RPM. In this situation, if the apparatus passes the established calibration test, it is considered suitable for the atypical condition. Apparatus 5, that is paddle over disc, is also modification of apparatus 2, therefore it does not require any additional calibration. Currently, the use of the USP calibrator tablet to certify dissolution apparatus suitability is a controversial topic in the pharmaceutical industry. While the rationale behind the use of the USP dissolution calibrator tablets and the interpretation of calibrator tablet failure is beyond the scope of this chapter, the reader is referred to discussion on these topics in the Pharmacopoeia forum. These all are the today's video lecture topics. First one, sampling and analytical instrumentation, then single point test versus dissolution profiles, and lastly calibration. Today I will stop here. You read all these points in notes provided on Google Classroom. Thank you.